If you haven't noticed yet, I'm doing this video in a mask for a particular reason.
Meow! One of the most persistent myths that's going around right now is that N95s reduce oxygen intake, making you short of breath, therefore making it unpleasant, actually impossible for a lot of people to wear them. I just want to address that. And this is the first international prepper research video. Brad at Full Spectrum Survival is going to do a very similar video, and it was his original idea, and I asked him if I could do it as well, and he said sure. So enjoy. International cooperation between two great countries is always to be appreciated.
There's a large subset of people who warn that masks, because they're uncomfortable, are dangerous to wear. Right here I'm wearing a pulse oximeter. At the end of this video I'm going to show you what my blood oxygen is like, because they say you're going to be dangerously low in blood oxygen. You're not getting enough oxygen.
So this is the sat probe I'm going to use. Currently it is 99, my heart rate's about 72, and I will show you this with various N95s, and I will do talking and a few other things, but not for the incredible long time Brad did it for, because frankly if you don't trust me you can report me to the College of Nurses of Ontario. I am not faking the video. I just don't want to have like 20 minutes where I'm wearing the mask to show that my oxygen doesn't drop. I'll keep it on throughout the whole thing. At the end of this video I'm actually going to show you several types of surgical mask and cloth mask, and I'm going to do the same thing. But specifically I want to show you how to actually put a surgical mask on, because everybody's putting them on wrong, and everybody's putting them on wrong at work, and nobody's listening to me. And you might not listen to me. But it takes a little bit of effort and a little bit of extra time to put a surgical mask on properly, and I think you're worth that extra bit of effort and time to give yourself slightly more protection than just throwing it on, which everybody else is doing. So this is the 3M8210, which fits me. There's the mask. I usually do this with it, and when I put it on, it's a little hard with the sat probe on, but you'll see what I mean. Now the first thing people do is they squeeze these far too tight. It just needs to have no air coming up, and if you wear glasses it's really easy to see. This really fits me very, very well. It's a good one for me, and it fits me. It's a dome mask, so there is some arguments that actually baking it at 170 for an hour might not be great for a dome mask, so I've been actually consistently not using dome masks but fibre layered masks. So after a week in a plastic container outside in the sun, I have baked my N95s at 170 degrees for an hour. Let's stop doing this because it's very, very annoying. And there they are. Just leave them for half an hour or so. Sterilised, all virus dead. So this is another N95, this is one Kitty uses. This is the 3M1870. It no longer is available, and Kitty has a few that I got her a few months ago, and this has actually also been recycled, as you can see from the inside. Maybe not. So again, get the two straps, wash your hands first, put it on, one strap over, one strap under, put it up like that. Gently press the metal bar all the way around, don't go thump. You don't want to break your nose, and you don't want to do it. So this is a little small for me, but it works well enough. So when I take it off, wash my hands, 20 seconds soap and water, 30 seconds alcohol rub. I don't breathe, I don't talk. Now, the way I take my mask off is different. The way you're supposed to take it off, you're supposed to take the bottom strap, put it over, take the top strap, right? So I don't do it that way because I don't like it that way. So I'll show you why. And you do whichever way you're comfortable with that causes the least contamination of yourself. The way I do it is I get both straps, so this holds the mask on. I get those straps down, and I do that. So you can't really see on that one, but it actually is better. So this is the other one. This is also an N95. I got some of these from people last year. These straps don't last well in this. I've been stapling them back in, but they'll probably have to be replaced. It's a wide mask, it's a comfortable mask. So again, if you're having trouble with an N95, maybe it's the fact that you don't like that particular type of mask. Again, gentle pinching, nice and snug. Make sure our glasses aren't fogging up. Look out for the dog, and there you go. So when you take this off, one strap, second strap. I just take both and do it that way. Practice deep breathing techniques. They're good for stress situations. Breathe in for count 5, hold, and gently exhale. So that's the other thing with these masks. You don't want to do that sort of thing with them. It's not a scuba diving device. You don't want to open this up at the sides. And when I did that, I did. So what's my sat now? I'm blind, I'll have to look at it. 99. Alright, so I'm going to take it off. Wash my hands, 20 seconds with soap and water, 30 seconds with alcohol, grab both straps, don't talk, don't breathe, and put it in the bin. So I'm just going to quickly show 2 other types of N95. These aren't quite as good and they're certainly not as durable. They're both called Duckbill masks, and you can see this one here. I put recycled on it initially because I got fed up with people complaining at work that I was wearing an N95 because they were too stupid to store them up before the pandemic hit. So when you open this up, you'll notice on the inside of this one it's kind of orangey. When you bake them, any oil on the face actually will tend to cause discoloration. Are baked recycled N95s as safe and as good as brand new ones? No. Are they safer than a surgical mask? Yes. So the duck-billed one, I don't think this gives you as much protection as the other ones. I don't know specifically, but I can tell you this type of soft duck-billed mask, because of the extra spacing here, tends to be a lot more comfortable to wear. So again, the critical thing with an N95 is get one that fits you. And there is a mask fitting video I did. Basically, you put a mask on, you then get a very strong smell near you, or a sweet smell now they use at work. So something that really stinks, you open it up after you've got the mask on, and you do exercises. And talk, and maybe even sing. La da da da, my name is Huples Cat, I am very fat. So basically you do that, you overdo what you're probably going to do wearing the mask, and if you can't smell anything, the mask works. The mask's fitted for you. And this is just the other duckbill one. I kind of like these. Again, they're fairly flimsy, but they work well. These are fairly straightforward to figure out how to put them on, because basically there's one metal strap and it's at the top, so you put it there. And because it's a duckbill, you have to be really dumb to put this on the wrong way around, though I have seen that. With all of these, you want the straps off your ear, you don't want them pressing into the ear, it will get painful. When you have these on for a period of time, there will be lines here where the mask straps fit. That's normal. You should see that. Again, wash your hands for 20 seconds with soap and water, or 30 seconds with an alcohol hand sanitizer. Hold your breath, don't talk, get both of the straps, bring both straps together, and put it off. So after all that, my O2 saturation is 99%. If it's 96%, don't worry about it. It's what the normal baseline for you is. I'm talking and my heart rate's up a little bit over my normal baseline resting heart rate because I'm a little bit stressed because I'm talking to a camera. So I'm going to take this off because I can't use the surgical masks with this on. Surgical masks are not airtight. Early on, people were suggesting things like using duct tape and stuff like that on surgical masks. I totally don't recommend that. Other people were recommending using wire on the outside of the mask with elastic bands to make a seal. I also don't recommend that as well, mostly because of the pressure decisions. But I think if I had no N95 and I knew I was going into a dangerous area, I might do that. So these are 3 types of surgical mask. This is the original surgical mask we used. Then we got these, and now everybody's been getting these. So Kitty uses surgical masks a lot at work. I don't use them at all. I don't like them. If I'm wearing a mask at all, I want to wear an N95 for my personal protection, and a surgical mask doesn't protect you per se. All surgical masks do is make transmission of airborne droplets from you to another person less likely to leave the mask, so the mask is going to be heavily contaminated. If everybody's wearing a surgical mask or a cloth mask, then that's great news, because the amount of air droplets coming out of people's lungs and upper respiratory tracts are much reduced, therefore the chance of an infection from, say, like SARS-CoV-2 or common cold entering your airway and infecting you is much more reduced than if nobody's wearing a mask. If nobody's wearing a mask and you're wearing a surgical mask, you will still get a slight measured level of protection, the same if you're wearing a bandana or whether you're wearing a cloth mask. Slight protection from the threat of death, do it, right? There's no argument with that. Oh, there's not much difference, I'm not going to bother. If there is a known slight better way of doing stuff, do it the better way even if it takes longer. So I promised you I would show you how to actually tie and put on these masks. So first off, mask 101. With these you see that they have a metal strap at the top and that they're different colours. The white side goes inside, the colour side goes out. I hope you knew that. I should have maybe mentioned it. You can see it better on this one. Inside, outside, metal bar, top. So it goes like that. And this one here, slightly different variation of it. Again, colour side out, side up. So traditionally it's how you put them on. That's how everybody puts them on. Now I don't like these, they press on your ears. There are little things, you can get an ear extender, you can attach them to cloth caps, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with these, but there you go. So this is going to offer you some measure of protection. The less aggressive you breathe, the more protection this is going to be. But whether it's a surgical or a cloth mask or N95, once it's on, do not touch ever this side. You are sucking virus onto here, okay? Don't do it. So how do you put these on? So I'm going to include a video because my method of doing it is not as good, I'm not as skilled. So these are single use only. Now I think you can bake these as well if you really needed to. But I'm not doing it currently, though I'm making sure I have a fairly decent supply, and if I think the supply is about to die, then I'm going to get it. So you get the mask and you have the inside white and the outside yellow. Yellow outside, inside white. First thing you do is you fold it up. Okay? You don't go but you fold it up. And there's the top. When you get the top, fashion where your nose is going to go. Having done that, you then get hold of one side, still a bit folded up, and you make a very loose knot. Any Bush Scouts out there? Tell me what it is. So you make a knot. It's not easy, you would have to practice with this before you had to do it for real. So you make a knot in one side. I don't do it tight. My technique with this, because I have never done it until I watched the video, Kitty told me about the video in the first place, is I didn't actually want to wear a surgical mask, but I'm not doing it tight. Now when you've got the loops on both sides and it's still folded up and you've got the nose piece here, what you do, and this is kind of the tricky funny bit, is you take the open side and you pull it, hold the knot loosely, pull it in, and then you tighten the knot. And you do that for the other side as well. So push this side, hold the knot loosely, push the open bit in, hold the open bit with the knot on that side, and then pull the knot. So then when you push these on, what you're doing is you're creating much more of a duckbill than the flat surgical mask. Now I've got a big head, so it won't be easy for me. So when you put it on and you seal it, by gentle pressure, not aggressive pressure here, it has to fit tight but not aggressively. What you're doing is you're actually pulling this side in. Now because my head's big, it's not that effective for me. And I'll let you look at the video.
I'm going to show you a more comfortable way to wear a surgical mask. For a while at NBT we've used tie masks and we have recently moved to the elastic string. In order to make the mask wear more comfortable, we would suggest that you fold it in half and tie a knot at either end as close to the mask as possible. Okay. We would then expect you to open the mask, moving the silver folded end up and shape your nose. Press the sides in so the pleat folds beside the knot, and do the same at the other side. Once the mask is complete, you'll have created your own duckbill mask. You can then fit your mask to your face as you would with the mask normally, and you can use that and secure it in place with the current headband or with your 3D printed clips.
But before you look at the video, that is currently what my saturation and pulse is. Not so bad. The longest I ever wore an N95 without ever taking it off was about 8.5 hours, and I've done that about 5 or 6 times. Once actually wasn't during SARS, it was during getting a tooth out of somebody's lung. It took us 8 hours. And the other times were during SARS, so I actually had a full plastic suit on top of it. There's 2 things that bother people wearing the mask. The main thing that bothers them is the rise of humidity. It makes you almost feel like you're drowning, it makes you feel short of breath, so you try to increase the breathing. The other thing is there's probably a slight rise in carbon dioxide. Not a huge rise, but a slight rise. So again, keep the heart rate low, keep the breathing rate down, take it easy if you start to feel at all constricted with the airway, or if you feel at all dizzy, sit down and relax. And if you need to, wash your hands, 20 seconds with soap and water, 30 seconds with an alcohol rub, and remove the mask in a safe place, and then put a new mask on and put that old mask away for recycling. So these are the cloth masks. Janine made this for me, and I'm very, very grateful she did. And they have gone out and about, and we do use them for shopping and stuff. So with these I put the top mask on first. Now one of the easy things you could do with these is you could actually put on an external piece of metal and push it on. So if you have a mask that's broken, which I do, and it's pretty much dead, I'll show you what you could do. This has 2 pieces of wire in it, right? So one of the things you can do is take an old broken mask, this N95, put it on the outside, and then press on. And that will give you an additional measure of protection. If the mask is no longer safe for you to use, if it's really stained, really dry, whatever, but it still has the metal bars in it, use the metal bars. Still getting protection. As soon as you go double masking, you are definitely going to be harder to breathe, right? The thicker the material, the harder it is to breathe. So you're going to see problems breathing when you do that. So what's happening to me, as you can see that my saturation is dropping a bit. But why is it dropping? It's dropping because, not because I can't get the air in, it's because the CO2 is rising and it's interfering with the oxygen absorption in the blood. So I wouldn't expect to have a great saturation. Now if you've got COPD, constrictive pulmonary airway disease, if you've got asthma, if you've had COVID-19, the slight drop in oxygen saturation wearing a mask can be enough to make you feel very ill and very uncomfortable. If you are in that situation, I would argue that whilst the pandemic's going on, you probably shouldn't be going out wearing a mask. You shouldn't be going out. So as you can see, a little bit of activity, get used to it. The body adjusts. You know, the CO2, it's harder to breathe. The body goes, ooh, give it time, stay calm. The body will make sure that you have what you need to breathe and respirate at the cellular level. So when you're taking off one of these masks, I take off the bottom tie first and I hold it there. And then I take off the top tie by loosening it, and then I do that. There's ways and means of doing these, right? However you put a surgical mask on, how you put an N95 on, it should be something you've practiced, something you're used to. You should be doing it looking in a mirror. You should be looking at it from a side mirror. You want to make sure an N95 isn't letting any air out, certainly, because if it's letting air out, it's going to let air in. And you don't want the air to come in unless it goes through the filter. So I hope that was helpful. That was a really exciting international co-production between me and Brad. We wanted to do the research just to prove to people, he's already proved this in the other videos, that wearing an N95 will not significantly drop your oxygen saturation. However, the humidity rise is going to be really high inside a mask, especially when it's hot and you're working hard. When those are the cases for you, you need to try and really nose breathe as much as you can, though when you're doing physical labour that's hard, but you need to be stopping frequently and changing the mask and hydrating orally by drinking through the mouth. It's really important. Now obviously the more limited your supply of N95 or surgical masks are, the harder it's going to be to go, and the harder it's going to be to have frequent breaks. But the more important it is, to wear the mask properly. So again, if you can, have a look, think about what you're wearing, think about what you're doing, think about what the actual risks are, and don't buy into hype. Don't just read or watch a video from whatever channel that tells you that people with lung disease can't wear N95s. That's absolute garbage. There are people out on YouTube right now with a lung disease and they'll tell you, yes, they can wear N95s. Can people faint? Yeah. If you're ignoring the fact that you start to hyperventilate because of a bit of feeling of airway occlusion, you're panicking. If you start to hyperventilate in N95, you're much more likely to actually pass out. But the thing with this is, you need to be monitoring yourself and be careful with yourself. And at this point in time, even I've got a SAT probe because COVID-19 will often show very low SATs with no other symptoms. So it's a good piece of tech to have. Anyway, that's all from me. Have a great day. Remember, SHTF, tomorrow will always be worse than today, unless you prep by practicing skills. This, in this case, in a pandemic, means practicing wearing whatever masks you've got, making sure they fit you well, making sure that when you take them off you're not contaminating yourself, that if you are able to recycle them because you need to, that you're recycling them in a safe and appropriate manner. Don't rely on other people's opinions, trust what you're doing, practice what you're doing before it becomes a critical situation. Doodles. This was a Bad Terrier 2020 production. Just wear a mask. Right, Becky?